Okay, so let's start. So today's chapter is about files IO. Okay, so yesterday we made a game, but actually there is a problem in this game. If you see closely, you'll understand that this game doesn't save its data. For example, how many times user played the game, how many times computer wins, how many times a user wins, who made highest score. So this all data needs to be saved in real application. If you are playing a game, okay, any game. So that game particularly, let's take an example. Uh, for example, we'll take GTA. If we are playing a game GTA, then GTA is saving our data. For example, how many missions we are doing, how many missions we have completed, and which stage we are. So this all data are saved in a file. So in this application, yeah, it's okay. It's running, it's working, but it's not saving the data. So today's chapter is about files and how we will save the file, how we will modify the file, how we will open the file, how we can close the file in Python, and what types of files are there, what methods we'll use to open file, to read, append, etc. So first of all, I'll give you explanation that this game we made yesterday is when we run it. So this is in RAM, not in ROM. Okay. So when we close this application, all the data we have, sorry guys, all the data that has been saved, that it will be erased because RAM is a volatile memory. Okay. And ROM is a non-volatile memory. That means it stores the data. So let's take an example. We play the game. Okay. So see, your computer wins, but it's in RAM only. It's not storing the data, or it's not storing. Or for example, that there should be a file called score.txt. Okay, so there is nothing data, no data that available. How many times a user win, how many times a computer win. So with the help of file, we can implement that method that will store computers, uh, how many times computers played, how many times user played, who wins the match most, who is the highest scorer in the game. So this we can do. So first of all, we will understand that by default the application runs in a memory. So if you say anything, even this VS Code also, okay, this VS Code also is running in RAM. Okay. When we save a file, it directly, so let's take an example. If I open a file, okay, and here I selected language Python. So where it is actually, it's stored in a RAM. If I close that, it will be discarded. Okay. So we need to store. So I'll save control S, and then I'll give a file name temp, and now it's stored in our hard disk, you can say. If I go in the folder and check, so you will get this temp file. Okay. So in Python, there are two types of files, you can say. There are, I'll write out down so it will be more easier. That is text files, and we all know extension that is text. Okay. It might be anything different also. For example, there is no extension. Okay. So the file name is simply score only, but we know that it's a text file. We can read that, human readable. Okay. So, and the another one is binary files. And for binary files, you can say your images, PDFs. These are the binary files. So I'll take an example: JPG, PNG, and etc., which we cannot read. If you open by mistakenly, if you open, you will see question marks, errors, icons, something that are not human readable. Okay. So Python has a lots of functions for reading, updating, and deleting files. So first of all, what we will do, we will check how to open a file in Python. Okay. So opening a file. So to open a file, we need a file. So we'll create a file called sample.txt. Here our file is already present and we will open it. Okay. So the command is, let's take in an example. We'll create a variable f that stands for file, or I'll say file. Open. Open is a built-in function. Now the file name, then mode. So we, as I said, we have to read the file. That means it will be R. Now I'll create another variable that is data to read. So this file name and another function, file dot read. Okay. Then what we will do? What it will do? This will read the sample.file, sample.text, and then what we will do? We will print it, print data, and then we need to close the file. Yes, in Python we need to close the file also. It will not automatically close. This is you can take an example. Just you open a refrigerator. When you open a refrigerator, you need to close it. It will not automatically close. Okay. So to close the file, there is a command that is file dot close bracket. So what we will do, we'll add some data. This is a sample file. Okay, we'll store and check. Okay, so we made a mistake. So we'll create a new file first. That is file.py, and then we will run it. So we made some mistake where cmp.txt. So it's right. Again we will run txtr. Okay, so okay, understood. We need to add comma. See, this is a sample file, and then it. So I'll explain you the code. This line opens a file. So open is a built-in function to read a file. Okay, sorry, to open a file. Now to read the file, we use a function, another function, that is read function. Okay, to read a file. Now this will print the data of a file, and f dot clause, so close will close the file. So we understood how to open a file with this line. We understood how to read a file with this function. We understood how to print the file data. We understood how to close the file. Okay. Now we will see how many types, how many modes are there to open a file. So again, I will say, I'll explain you again. So what exactly this line does, because this is the very important line. Okay. So this is the built-in function in Python to open a file. Let me break it so it will be more easier. So this is the built-in function to open a file. Now, what does this when you insert this value over here? So what it does, this is the file name to open a file. So it should require one file name. So this is the file name. Now mode. This is very important. You have to put mode. See here it's suggesting which mode I have to give. So there are lots of mode, but here we are putting R. So R stands for read mode. Okay. So there are three things that are very important to open a file. That is function, file name, and then the mode too. Okay. In which mode you want to open a file. So there is a question, how many types of file names, how many modes are available. Okay, so this will be always same to open a file. The file name will be same which file you want to open. So the every time mode will change. So let's take in an example. As I said earlier, there are two types of files in. One is text file, another one is binary file. So now modes of opening a file. First one is, I write it capital. It's actually small. I write it small. So R, opening a file in read mode. Okay. Then W, opening a file in write mode. Then A, opening a file in append mode. Okay. Then plus, uh, open to update a file. So this plus will indicate it will be in read mode also and write mode also. Okay. Because when we will able to read it, then only we can able to write. So this will open in read and write mode. Okay. Now there are two special cases you can say. Now this doesn't indicate whether it's opening in text file or binary file. Let's take an example. This is sample.png. So how Python will understand that it's a binary file or a text file? Because when we are putting Python doesn't know extension. Python know modes. It will open the file with the help of its modes, not with the help of its extension. So in world there are so many types of extensions. So it will open as per his modes. So now there are two types of modes you can say. First one is let's say RB. So RB stands for RB will open a file in binary mode. Okay, read binary. Now same it will there will be RT. It will open a file in text mode. Okay, so again I'll write. So when I write sample.txt, should I have to mention T also because it's opening in text mode? Yeah, it's all on you. If you mention, it will be okay. If you didn't mention, by default, it will take T. Okay. When you don't write, it will take as T. So always remember that if you don't write, it will take T. But if you are opening a binary file, then you have to compulsory mention RB to open a binary file. Otherwise, it will be okay. So now, is I have to mention this mode every time? No. So I'll give you an example so it will be more easy to understandable. I'll copy this. Let's take an example that I haven't mentioned in which mode I have to open a file. So will Python be able to understand is I am to will he will Python will be understand able to read or not file? So yeah, it will. Let's check before statement. I will check and understood. See, Python ables to read the file. So why this happen? So the answer is that if you, I'll again show you. If you don't mention any mode, by default, it will take in read mode. See, if you don't mention, by default, it will take in read mode. Let's take an example. You want to write a file. Okay. So, um, we want to write a file. So there is a function f dot write, and what I have to write. So let's take an example. I'll write CDP. So I haven't mentioned the mode. As I said, by default it will open in read mode. So I don't have to mention R, but I have to mention W to write the file. Let's check. So this is a sample file will be erased. This all data will be erased with CDP. Okay. Let's check. See, it's done. Now we'll check sample file. Hmm. See, here it's written CDP. But let's take an example. If we don't mention the mode, will it be able to write a file? Let's check. Say it's given an error. Unsupported operation not writable. Because what the problem is, because we haven't opened the file. So how it will be able to write? See how it works. First, Python will open a file, then it will write, then it will print it, then it will close. But here by default, as I said, if you don't mention the mode, it will open in read only. So it opens in read only file. Then here we have mentioned write. Okay, so it says that you haven't mentioned the write mode. So how be able to write? Okay, so to write a file, we need to add. So this we can say a clear statement that in except read mode, we have to mention every mode, whether it's write, append, or anything. So let's take an example. I'll write down first. Okay, to write in a file. Now we'll add mode. See, and this time I'll do CDP2, so it should work. See, CDP2. Okay. Now let's take in an example that we need to read only one line. Okay. Let's take an example. We need to read line by line or first line. So there is a command read line. Okay. You can say it's another function of Python read line. So we will see it simply. So what I'll do, I'll remove this and I'll change it with read line. Okay. And I'll remove all these things. So I'll remove this also because this changed the. Now let's take in an example. We have multiple lines in our file. So CDP2, CDP3, CDP4, and so on. Now with read line, you will see that it's able to read only first line. See, it's able to read only first line and nothing else. So you'll understand a space also, that is \n. So this is not a problem. Now if you want to read second line, what we will do? Again, what we will do, we will use read line again. So let's check. See, CDP2, CDP3. If you want to read third line, again we mention read line function. Say CDP2, 3, 4. And again, if you want to read fourth line, so it will see, say fourth line. So now question arises here. There is no fifth line written. Okay. So there is nothing on fifth line. So will he able to read fifth line or will produce error? So the best answer is, let's check. See, it doesn't produce any error. Simply it's filled with a space. Okay. So Python with read line, it's reading a file. So there will be no error until unless you are mistaking in a file name. So I'll mention to read a file line line by line. Okay. So read first line. Read second line. Read third line. Fourth line with no error. Okay, so this is the read line. Now, uh, there is also a statement in Python to write a file. Okay, so if you see, this is the hectic code. You can say that you want to put a variable and then you put this all. Then you created another variable with read function. Then you created file dot close. What if you miss file dot close? It will be open every again and again. So this can be a issue in production. If you didn't mention f dot close, so might hacker able to write in your file because it's not closed. So this was the issue earlier. Now it has been solved. There is a with statement. Okay, uh, with statement. Okay, so now what's the best way now to write a file? So with statement, now you can write. uh, okay, I'm back. So with statement, I will write. So there is a command with open. We have to mention open function because it's compulsory. Now the file name. So in our case, it was sample dot text. Then we need to mention mode, that is R. So we'll not mention because we are opening a file. Now we have to mention as F semicolon. Now file name, that is F equals to F dot read. Then print A. Sorry, A F. Okay. So it will check if it's able to read our sample file or not. See, it's able to read. And here we didn't mention f dot close. Okay. So with statement, we don't need to use, we don't need to close our file. Okay. So this is the most easiest and this is the most used when you when you're updating a file in your application or when you are creating a new file, so you will use with statement mostly. You will not use like this because for understanding it's very good, but for writing you will use this statement. Okay, now again, if I want to write a file, so we read the file. Now let's take in an example. I'll use with same function. Okay, I'll copy f dot write, then file name, that is CDP, and then print f. Okay, let's check. I'll print here also, so we'll understand the difference. It's not writable, so I made a mistake. I didn't mention mode over here, so it should be right. See, this is our read file, and now this 3 is our updated file. So now it should be updated with CDP. Okay. So this is the most common method used in Python, and you will also use this method. Now, uh, now we will check append method also. So we have seen read method, we have seen write method. We will see append method now. So guys, just a second, give me one. Okay, guys, I'm back. So we'll use append method. So what append method does? So for example, that you don't with write method you have seen it's erasing all your data. Okay, so let's say it's erasing all your data. Now let's take an example. You want to write next to CDP, for example, GDP you want to write. Okay, so how we will do that? You will do with the help of append method. So simply you will write over here f dot, sorry, a, that is append. Now what you want to append? I said GDP. So first I have to erase everything from here. GDP. Okay. We will run it. See, it's first it was CDP. Now three lines of code has been added. We'll check in a sample file. See, CDP now GDP. So if you want to print in a new line, so we can add slash n, as we have talked in chapter 2. See, slash n. So I'll run it again. See, okay. Sorry, I run before opening a file. So what I'll do is I'll save. Okay, so I want to don't save and then I'll open. Okay, see here it's GDP. So again, what I'll do, let's take an example that if you want a space and then write, so I'll write T and I'll write. See, earlier was CDP, GDP, GDP, and now four things had been written. It'll open a file. See, okay. So to add something in a file, we'll write. If we run it multiple times, it will add. It will not erase the existing data. Now, let's take an example that we have a file. So uh, with this, our file part is over. There is nothing much in file. Okay. So now we will talk about basic things in file. So there is no much more functions in file. Okay. So now we'll talk about if let's take an example that we have a file in which there is a data written. So give me one sec, guys. I'll copy a data and so okay. So this is our file. So what if we need to find whether this word, okay, it's for example, whether passionate word is available, present or not in our sample file. Okay, so we can achieve that task with two commands. Okay, So first of all, we need to open a file, then we need to create a if else condition to find out. So I'll show you. First of all, I'll use with open. I'll copy this file. I'll write out find and replace. Okay, so f dot read. Now mm, I'll remove this. Okay, I'll print, and now then I'll mention if the word, exact word I'll copy. So if passionate in F, okay, return word is present. Else return word is not present. Okay. Um, so here it's not working with if condition. So you'll use print. Okay. So with this, we able to understand if the word passionate is available in our file or not. Sorry, I'll remove this and then it will do. See, word is present. So what if word is like taken an example that if it's see it's not present, so it will goes in else condition. The word is not present. Okay, so now we'll talk about as we have seen yesterday our game. So we'll talk about how to update a score in our game. So let's take an example. We have a 5 score, and which will which will update only if the high score has been break. So let's take an example. The highest score is now 65. Okay. So we will create here we will create a function. Let's take an example. Um, or simply what we will do, we will mention current score as 42. Okay. Now we will create user high score. Okay. So I'll write it down. User high score equals to score. So we need to create with open. I'll open score.txt file as f. Then I'll say I'll say high score equals to f dot read because it will read the score. Then this done. Okay, this will read the existing score. We know that our existing score is 65. Okay, so first our application will read the score here. Then we need to implement if condition. If high score is equals to f. No, it's not. High score equals to blank. Okay, I'll put a blank. Then with open, we'll copy paste, and then here we will open in write mode. And now we'll use f dot write, then score our score. Okay, now we need to check. This will write the score. Now we need to check if high score is greater than, then only update, else do not update. Okay, so now we need to mention another elif statement. Elif uh, high score, that is greater than the score. Okay, so now f dot write score. So okay, now it's correct. Now okay. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll check uh, whether my code is proper or not. So we created user high score. Okay, here. So the problem is this will take this. So it should be user high score, not score. Okay. Now let's run and check first. So we'll understand. So not supported between instant string and integer. So we need to convert our high score in string. So sorry, integer. Okay. Yeah. Here we need to convert it into string as it files doesn't support integer or boolean value. So we need to convert everything into string. Okay. So what happens? This file doesn't understand. Let's take an example. If I write 12, so this file will take this as a string, not an integer, because text file doesn't understand whether it's a string or integer or anything. So all good now. We'll run it again and we'll check elif high score. Okay, so we need to convert this into, I guess, integer. Okay, because high score will be converted into integer, then it will be updated as an this what we say string. First, we need to convert it into integer because our score is in integer. No such file or directory. So my file name is correct. Okay. Again, I forget to add comma. Okay. It's done. So let's check. So it's updated 42. So there is a mistake in our code. Again, I'll say I don't think so that I required this line. Let's say my score is 65. Okay. So it should update the score 42. It's not updating. I guess I made a mistake, guys. So with open store, okay. So mm, this is correct. Score is 65. So don't need to convert into Risha. So high score is this. So again, I created uh, f dot read. So it's correct over here till it's opening a file for reading. So it's correct. Now if integer high score, okay, is greater than score. Okay, so if it's greater than, then only update it with the high score. Okay, so it's perfect, I guess. So why it's not updating? Okay, it's correct. Just give me one sec, guys. Okay, guys, understood. I mentioned in a wrong way, so it should work now. I created problem in greater than and smaller than sign, so it should update now. Check. Yeah, it's updated. And if my score is 25, I guess, so it should not update. See, it's not update. Okay, we are done now. So yeah, actually I have made a small mistake, so that's why it was not working. What? So I'll explain you over here also. What this line was doing, it was checking if high score is not empty. Let's take an example. If high score file is empty, okay, so it will produce an error. I'll show you. Okay. Uh, okay. We don't need to create elif over here. If we'll create elif, it will also work. There will be no issue with the elif also. So I'll break it and I'll explain. So what's happening over here? We created a score that is by default 25. Now we created another variable that is user high score equals to score. Okay. So with this file, what we are doing, we are reading our existing score. But there might be a cases that, for example, we are playing first time, so there will be no score. Okay, so this file might be empty or this file is not created. So in this case, what will happen? We'll check if high score equals to empty, then read with the new score that is 25, and then check if high score is available, then print it. Okay, I'll show you. So now let's take an example that it's an empty. Okay, so we know that empty means 0, so 25 is the highest score. So this code will work, and this code will be, this if condition will be true, and this all condition will be skipped. Okay, see, now let's take an example. Again, I'll say that if we have a new high score, my score is 15. So will it work? I'll check. See, it's not updated. Now again, what I'll do, let's take an example. I scored 35. Will it work? Yeah, it will update the score now. See, it's update. So, guys, with this we have completed our file chapter. I'll give you another example also, last one, so it will be more easier. So, let's take in an example that you want to print a table. Okay, this is the you can say practice. So I'll create a new file. It will be more than table.py. Okay. So question is create a table of 13. So how we will create and it should save a file also. So first what we'll do, we'll create a file. Okay, guys, just give me one sec. Okay, so I'm back. So we'll modify it. So let's take an example. We want to create a table from 1 to 10. Okay, it will be more easy. So how we will create? So for this we need with this we understand that we need to apply range function, and then we have to use for loop also, because with the help of for loop we will use range function. So first command we are clear that we'll use for I in range, and then we'll put our range that is till 10. Okay, so then now what we'll do, we'll use our with statement. With open we'll use f string, it will be more easy. Now we will use simple multiplication of, then we'll use table name, that is I. Okay, so we need to create a text file. Then we need to decide mode, that will be write, because it will not, if you didn't add mode, it will not able to write. Now we will create another for loop to write a table. So here we will use another for j in range, that is 1 comma 11. So Python works n minus 1, so it will be 10. Okay, it will start from 1 and it will end to 10. Now we'll check how table works. So table is like 1 x1 equals to 1, this way. So we need to implement in our this code. So f dot write. Okay, f dot write, then our f write function. Then we'll use f string because uh, in our file, the file name is multiplication of I, that is it will start 1, so multiplication of 1. Then we'll write how it will apply this formula. Okay, I'll write it down, formula. So it will be mm, so first it will be I, that is this into this. Okay, so this is our I. This is our J, and this is the output. I'll write it down in short also. This is our I, this is our J, and this is our output formula. Okay. So we need to I, then um, this is the X sign. That is X. Then we need our J, then equals to sign, then our output. So output is a combination of I into J. So again, I'll use curly braces, I into J. Okay, so it's right. Mhm. I guess we are done. Let's check. Mhm. And what we will do, we'll create a folder and then we will do. So it will be otherwise, if I create over here, it will be messy. I'll show you, then I'll create a folder. Okay. So first of all, I'll write this, run this code and check whether it's working or not. So, okay. 0 to 9. So, okay, so here we need to mention 11 to print from, and here we need to mention 1. Okay, so it will print from 1 to what I'll do. Okay, here also it's messy, 1 into 1. Okay, so there is no space. Okay, so we need to first we'll delete it, and then I'll create a folder, and over there, so this is our folder. Now I'll add this folder name T slash TABLE. Okay. So problem was it's what not line by line. Okay. So we need to have it should print. We need to implement slash n. That's only, that's not much bigger. So after writing this, it should also write f dot write. I'll say slash n. Let's check whether it will work or not. Okay, it's done. So okay, we are done. So you see that with the help of combination of for loop and with statement and conditional expressions, with we can manipulate our files, our code. Okay, so with this, we have completed today's chapter, and it's done. So you can see that there is another line is printing over here, 11. So we can avoid this with the help of another statement. Um I'll say dot mm, if j not equal to say 10, then only print f dot 9. So I guess it should avoid the line. Yeah. See, the line has been avoided. Okay, so with this we have completed. I'll once again I'll explain you the code so it will be more understand. So what we are doing, we are creating a table from 1 to 10. So what's the formula? That is 1 into 1 equals to output. So here our 1 is I, this one is J, and this one is the output. Okay. So what we have done, uh, we have with the help of for loop, what I have implemented range because we want to print from 1 to 10. So let's take an example that if we want to print a table of 7, just as I said earlier, I'll mention only 7, but I'll not mention over range function. But if I mention range function, it will print from 1 to 7. Okay. So I'll make it back to same. Now with this, we able to achieve from 1 to 10. Now what we have implemented with which statement, we created a folder table that is already, see folder, it will not create folder. Python doesn't create folder. You have to create it. It can create file automatically with the help of write mode, but it will not create a folder. Let's check in and I'll show you that if the folder has been deleted and if I run the code, it will produce a error. See, no such file or directory. So directory you have to create. If directory is created, it will create file automatically. Okay. Now with another follow, what we have done, we created a table and it's we have given a range from 1 to 11. That is from 1 to 10 it will work because it will work n minus 1. Now we have created a formula with this f dot write, f string we have used with I, this one, with j, this one. This is not the multiplication sign, it's a greater x sign. Okay. Multiplication sign in Python is like this. So it's a greater sign for good looking. I have read it. And now here it's actually are calculating. So 1 into 1, that will be 1. And this line says that do not print after 10, the line which was coming, and this one is print one by one. Okay. So after printing this, print another 1 into 2 into another line. Okay. So I hope it's clear. Guys, we are done with our today's chapter. So if you have queries, do ask me. Okay, thank you for your time, guys. So probably next week we'll start another chapter, and I guess only one or two chapters are left. Then our training will be over. Okay. So good day. Bye bye.